The New Barcelona Post, amb la col·laboració de Mass Media Group i CASA SEAT, presenten Moments estel·lars de Barcelona, un cicle de converses presentades pel periodista Toni Aira.
Molt bé, doncs moltes gràcies. I ara és quan, molt bona tarda a tothom i ben retrobats. Ara és quan em passo a l'anglès. Good afternoon. And thank you very much for coming in a new restart of our cycle of conferences about Barcelona, Catalonia, and today about the audiovisual. This session are going to be different because Mike Blackman is here with us and we will speak in English. You can ask in Catalan or Spanish when our conversation will be at the finish. So let's go. And Guillem and Sergi had introduced our guest, and now is the moment to start our conversation. Hi, Mike, and welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Miquel, and welcome. And let me start making the first question to Mike, if you want. Mike, in a few minutes we will talk about the ISC, but first of all, to situate ourselves, our audience, when we talk about audiovisual, many of us think about movies, TV, but there is much more, right? Tell us about other areas in which the audiovisual is a key factor, such as business world, education, health.
So when we first came here to Barcelona, what became very clear was hearing from everybody that they just imagined it was TV and film. Mm-hmm. And you have to realize that AV covers so much that touches our lives. When you're walking down the Paseo de Gracia and seeing the big screens in the windows, going to the train station or the airports and seeing the advertising screens, the information screens, the football stadiums, everything you're seeing there that actually transforms information and sends images to enhance the experience of being at a soccer game. But more importantly, it's in our everyday lives. The pandemic changed a lot of things in the way we work, and many people are still working from home. And you're using tools like Zoom or Teams or Google Meets. This is all part of AV, the software part of it, the solution, the complete solution that's created by software, hardware, the cameras, the computer, the screens, everything else, which comes together as a complete system. That's part of AV. Mm-hmm. And then in the home, we cover from residential to commercial AV. Mm-hmm. And many of you know the concept of home cinema. When we talk about home cinema at ISE, we talk about people who have big houses and put a real cinema inside their homes. Yeah. But more so, I think most people know the term smart home. Mm-hmm. That's part of ISE. The systems that control and make your living more comfortable and help enhance your living quality. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have started speaking about the IV. Miquel, to begin with you, could you tell us what the Clúster Audiovisual de Catalunya is and what is your activity focused on? And why does it make sense in a country like ours here in Catalonia?
Okay, it makes a lot of sense, and I'll answer later. Okay, the Catalan AV Cluster is an organization that has the aim of developing the Catalan audiovisual industry in terms of its economy and the strategy. Okay, so we work in order to have a very strong audiovisual industry. Mm-hmm. As Sergi, I think, said, there are almost 200 companies and institutions that belong to the Catalan AV cluster. And we all work together in that strategic thinking. We analyze market trends, we benchmark, and we decide what the strategy has to be. We don't work in the short term. We also work on the long term, trying to talk to the different administrations and key players of the industry, in order to develop the industry and to achieve our long-term goals. We organize events. We organize trainings. We do all type of public relations, and we always have the same goal. And answering your question, yes, it makes a lot of sense to have such an organization here, because the audiovisual industry is very important all over the world. Sergi said, I think, gave that aggregated turnover of 7,000 million euros, which is a lot. So it's very important in terms of its economical importance, its weight. But apart from that, I think it's very important in terms of its social and strategic importance. And I cannot imagine, I don't know, a region, a country, a city that doesn't have a strong audiovisual industry. Because if you don't have such a strong audiovisual industry, it means that you are only watching those contents that have been produced by people from the rest of the world. Or what about your culture, your way of living, etc. So in terms of economy and in terms of culture and society, it's very important to have such an organization.
And if there are something like the Clúster Audiovisual de Catalunya in other parts of the state, or this something?
Yes, there are some other AV clusters all around the country, Basque Country, Navarra, Canary Islands, Aragon, and there's another one I don't remember. We work together. In fact, we are currently also in charge of the presidency of the Red Cow, which is the network of the different Spanish audiovisual clusters.
So we have spoken about the Clúster Audiovisual de Catalunya. Now, Mike, the time has come. Let's talk about the ISC. Later, we will talk about news of the next ISC. By the way, save the date. It will be between the 30th of January and February the 2nd, between these days, in 2024. In the introduction of the act, both Guillem and Sergi from the New Barcelona Post have highlighted the importance of the international event, of this international event, but it would be ideal if you can give us the dimension of what moves this great event and what it can mean for the audiovisual, for the AV industry in a city like Barcelona. Explain that to us, and please answer a question that I'm sure you've been asked for a lot. Why did you choose Barcelona?
So firstly, to give a bit of scale about the industry, we are in an industry that has a worldwide value of around revenue value of around $340 billion. Europe alone contributes just over $80 billion of that. So about a third of the total world value for AV sits in the European market. And when we look at the rankings of the strongest markets in Europe are the UK, then followed by Germany, then France, then we have Scandinavia, Benelux, Italy, and then we have Spain. So Spain is still in the top 10. So we're in an industry that has a huge financial value. It's something which is growing. We've seen something like 6.4% CAGR over the last few years. Obviously, we saw some drop down in the pandemic time, but it's recovering. And we're seeing year-on-year growth in the industry. So it's a booming market. It's involving so many other sectors, and that's where the value lies. More and more of what we do and what we experience on a day-to-day basis involves the use of audiovisual solutions. And we talk at ISE about solutions and not products. I remember one time having someone coming to the show and walking through and said, "Oh, it's just about screens." Well, it's rather like, when someone said it's just about screens, when you're driving at night, and I don't know if you get it here, but either a deer or a pig comes across the street in the nighttime and they stand, just struck. This is what the impression to someone who doesn't understand what's going on there. The screens, we say audio-visual. It's the components of audio and visual. And we enhance how you experience content. So the content is part of it, whether it's being produced for film, for TV, or for the desktop. The content is a crucial part of it. And what we are doing, what the AV industry is doing, is protracting that content in the best way. A lot of people said after the pandemic, oh, the exhibition industry is going to die. Everything's going to go digital. Well, can you imagine just trying to experience audio and visual just over a computer screen? You have to do it in person. And that's part of what our industry does. So very valuable. We see here in Catalonia and Barcelona tremendous growth potential. I will talk in a moment and say why we chose here, but we see huge growth potential. Barcelona has a very significant position as a hub for Southern Europe. When we moved to Amsterdam, the location of being near a port like Rotterdam made it easy for non-European companies to bring their products into Europe. We see the same potential here in Barcelona. You have a big port, you have a big airport, you have a hub that's not only significant for Southern Europe, but also potential for North Africa. So we imagine that we'll see many more, particularly Asian companies, coming here to actually set up their business. The result of ISE moving here, we've already seen more than 7 companies in this short space of time set up operations within Barcelona. And we believe there'll be many, many more in the future. And this will bring jobs, it will bring revenue, and boost the economy. So why did we come here?
Yeah.
Amsterdam was great. It really worked for us, and it's a great city. But it became too small. We outgrew the venue. We were overfilling the hotels, and that causes issues in actually trying to give value and the experience to our customers. So we started to look around Europe to see which places have that possibility. Now, Fiera Barcelona has actually kept in touch with us for over 15 years. They've always said, when you're ready, come and see us. And they've been very, very good in keeping that connection. But we still said, okay, let's look and see what other places. So the first part of that was to actually see, is the venue large enough? Are there enough hotels in the city? And what is the transportation? Can you get there? And can you get around the city once you're there? That brought us to a very small short list of about 10 European cities that were capable of hosting ISE. We took those cities and we actually asked our customers. We put out a survey to our exhibitors and our attendees, and we said, okay, what are the key factors that influence you making a decision to come to an exhibition, and what else around it enhances your value of being at that exhibition? And outside of the exhibition itself being the right place, they pointed things like the cost of hospitality and lodging, the being able to get around the city, language, quite a few key factors. And the results of that survey was that Barcelona scored to the middle to the top. And when it came to hospitality and ambience, Barcelona was top. So it had that little bit extra to say, hey, that's a nice thing after the show. There was only one sector where Barcelona scored lowest, and that was language. And for us, we thought, well, okay, we understand that, and 15 years ago, we felt that really was an issue. But I think it's a fallacy now that, my personal experience is that interaction with people that, if I come here on business or as a tourist, speaking English and communicating becomes very easy. I hope most of you understand me here. So that became a very significant factor. And the result of the whole survey was that when we wanted the key factors and that little bit extra, Barcelona was the place to come.
Okay, Barcelona is the place to come. I was thinking about a word that you say, potential, the potential. Miquel, about this, we have already worked about the diversity that exists in the audiovisual, about the potential of Barcelona. Explain to us a little how it has grown, the audiovisual, the AV and industry, how it's growing and how can grow in the near future, for example, in the corporate sector. Because until a few years ago, we linked this sector with the media and entertainment almost exclusively, but that hasn't been like this for a long time, right?
Yes, you're right. I think most of people who are here now still think about AV as television and movies and advertising and all that. And it's still there. So this is a very important industry for us, but there's more than this. In fact, Mike has been talking about technology, and I think technology is the key driver for these new audiovisual developments. As technology evaluates, new applications, new experiences, new ways of communicating using AV solutions come up, and that's something that is currently happening. If we talk about the corporate sector, Mike mentioned Zoom, Meet, Microsoft Teams. We got used to those tools, and some years ago it was something like impossible, not to travel, to a city to have a meeting with another company, and now it's the most usual way, to do business. But apart from this, let's think about the MICE sector, which is the industry that has to do with events, exhibitions, and all that. This is a kind of MICE event. Barcelona is known to be one of the most important cities in the world in terms of this kind of events for companies, for business. And in this kind of events, you find screens, content, streaming, and everything has to do with audiovisual. So we grow, we are, as an audiovisual industry, we're growing in different segments. It's not only this, because when we communicate, when we advertise, let's think about the different big screens that we can find in the street. You mentioned the train station or the metro. These screens also have to do with our sector. And there are more and more things that will come in the future. Let's think about also what will happen with AI. This is a new technology that is coming up, and this is something that will be very powerful. We still don't know how we are going to deal with this new technology. We know that it will be very, very important, but we still don't know how. And this is going to change things, business models, and new companies will come, and I think that there's really a very big potential for the future.
Mike,
actually, maybe I can add something. We talk about AI, and it's a big theme at the moment, and there are things which are already happening. I don't know if any of you have seen the film with Tom Cruise, Minority Report.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in that where he walks into the shopping center. He's walking through a store, and he said, "Oh, hello, Mr. Jones," whatever his name was. "That jacket you looked at last week, we have it now in your size." And it's recognized him with face recognition. It already has his measurements, and it's speaking to him and addressing him personally. That exists. There's actually a store in Madrid, I've forgotten the name of it, where they actually don't have very much in stock. You go in there, and you can put the clothes on virtually and try, and then they send it to your home. So you'll see a lot of this. I mean, think about it. Real estate situations like Paseo de Gracia, which is very expensive. If you are a store, you want to actually get the maximum revenue out of the space you have. And if you can actually reduce the size of storage, then you start to optimize your profitability. Tesla, they choose A1 positions, but they only have about 3 cars. We've seen solutions where the showroom car is actually an augmented reality model. And you choose the color, you choose the wheels, you choose the configuration, and you see your car in real life size being projected in front of you. So these are solutions which are AV related that are coming and are real.
Changes, you are speaking about changes, the evolution of the technology, and each edition of the ISC presents new features. I must ask this question. Can you tell us some of those that will start in ISC 2024? Tell us that, or give us some clues about the most emerging in the AV nowadays.
So there are many, many new things. We are very fortunate. Over the years that ISC has developed, we've become the de facto place where new products and solutions are being launched. We've seen transparent LED. So you're seeing these screens, and when they're off, you look through it. So can you imagine the CASA SEAT, these glass windows, that when they're not advertising and showing the cars, you look inside rather than seeing a screen. This is something which you're seeing more and more coming into place in Europe. It's real technology. We have been the launch pad for many, many new technologies. We're seeing now 16K. You know, at home, I think most people are starting to actually evolve to actually having 4K television sets, so with very high definition. The cinemas are starting with 8K, and 16K is available. It's just a case, the problem is the technology is there, but the content is not there.
Okay.
Yeah, but these are things which are coming. What you will see new at ISE in terms of technology, I can't tell you yet because I don't know. I can tell you what we're doing. So sneak preview, we'll announce it in a couple of weeks' time, but our opening keynote, we're bringing in a film producer, Charmaine Obeid-Chinoy. She's produced documentaries that matter. Something called The Girl in the River, which was about honor killing in Pakistan. And she's going to be the director of the next Star Wars film. So Star Wars, coming out in 2024, will be directed by her, and she will be doing the opening keynote. We have a couple of other keynotes which are being in discussion at the moment, so some very interesting people. We have features in there. We will actually be showing a classroom of the future. We're in development there, working with partners, working with the city to actually show how education can be formulated and shown in the future, how technology can actually help in the schools. We're always showing new things in there. Some of our major exhibitors are launching new products and showing what you can do with those products. We're working together with the America's Cup. The America's Cup is about sailing. It's an event which is it's free. You don't have to pay to watch the America's Cup. But they're trying to broadcast that to the world and trying to create interesting content in how they show and explain to the world how the whole sailing race happens. So last year we had the head of media doing a keynote to explain how important, how they're using media and technology and AV technology to explain how the racing is actually occurring and actually show that to everybody. And we'll be doing more of that this year on the show floor as well. So there are many, many new things that we'll be doing there to make it exciting. The thing I always think is unfortunate, ISE is a business-to-business show, so we're looking for professional attendees and not general public. We're not a consumer event, although what we show and what you see touches many consumers. And I always feel sorry for the citizens who are here and think, oh, that's interesting, can I go? And we say, no, actually, we don't want you. We do, if you're a business person who's coming there to look at business solutions, we want you there. And we want you to be as enthusiastic about our industry as we are. There's so much coming, there's so much you learn and so much you can see. And when you realize the significance and the influence it has on our lives, you get even more into it.
Because you speak more about solutions than products.
Exactly.
So, Miquel, we started by talking about the audiovisual, its diversity, its contribution to the society like ours. Let me ask you about the needs of the sector. Mike spoke about different kinds of infrastructures, for example. Talking about infrastructure or something else that you consider that would be necessary from the institutions or other actors involved. Tell us what we need to improve if we want to be or we want to make Barcelona a real audiovisual capital.
Yes, this is a very important point. When you look at the most important cities in the world in terms of audiovisual industry, I don't know, Los Angeles, Toronto, Vancouver, London, and some others, even Madrid, you find there's a big infrastructure there, what we call a media park, an audiovisual hub, in all of them. So if you want to be, if you want to play an important role in this audiovisual world, you need such an infrastructure. It's like this. And we are missing an infrastructure with sound studios able to help in the production of those new audiovisuals that are rising, like all this video game industry, virtual reality, and etc. But there are good news. There are good news because there's a project that comes from the Catalan government, which is the Catalunya Media City, and is the idea of building a big infrastructure at the Tres Xemeneies site by Sant Adrià. This is very good news because this is going to become a kind of flagship infrastructure for us.
In the near future?
We don't know. The plan of the government is to have it by 2030, more or less. I'm looking at there because I can see the director of the Catalunya Media City program there, so he will probably have better information. But that's their main plan, and it's important to have such flagship infrastructures. It's like having ISE here. I always say that the fact of having this trade show in Barcelona is very important for our brand image, because it's very important internationally. And on top of that, ISE is associated to innovation, to technology, and we know that technology is the thing we have to rely on in order to be a very powerful in this new industry. So we need to master technology. So everything related to ISE is important for us. So Catalunya Media City is very good news. We still don't know the details of what will be in that infrastructure. We can foresee esports auditoriums, immersive venues, all the infrastructures and equipment you need in order to produce those new audiovisual applications. But apart from that, we need more infrastructures. Yeah, we need a more traditional media park. Apart from that, and probably we don't have to think of the Tres Xemeneies for that media park. We already have one in Terrassa, which is the Parc Audiovisual de Catalunya. The idea is to make it bigger, but we need more sound studios than that. We need 15,000-20,000 square meters extra, in order to be able to compete, with the rest of the world audiovisual hubs. So infrastructure is a key point in the future of our industry.
Okay, Mike, a question something like that, but with your panoramic international view, surely we do things well here in Barcelona, positive things, but we also need to improve. How to attract more international audiovisual talent?
I think you underestimate yourselves here.
Tradition.
Yes.
Here in Barcelona.
The experience that we've had in coming to Barcelona and seeing the institutions, seeing organizations like the AV cluster, the city government, the regional government, how they reach out and how they try to support activities is much more than many other cities in Europe. So that's been our personal experience, and it sort of really reinforced our decision to come here. When we look at what is actually happening, obviously projects like the three chimneys, tres chimeneas, yeah.
Las tres chimenelles. Yeah.
I'm trying. These we think are real flagships that will actually highlight Catalonia as a region and showing what's actually happening and the potential. When we see what's happening with game development in Barcelona and what they're doing to actually, they're using AV solutions to create games. If we start seeing the growth of esports, esports, the biggest use of, they're only been able to do that by using AV and actually presenting themselves. So big markets that are growing here and showing potential. Catalonia will never, my personal opinion, will never be the place where you'll see huge manufacturing coming in the technology section. There are possibilities, and there are companies that will actually do that. To be really honest, most of the manufacturing is going to happen in Asia. That's where it's traditionally happening, and the economies of scale they have. But it has huge potential for distribution. It has huge potential for content creation. And when we see what's actually happening in the strong markets, Miquel already discussed MICE. If we see the conference industry and the big conferences that come here and use the facilities that you have, because you have all this accommodation potential. If we see the concerts, if you ever go to concerts in Barcelona and around the region, the AV usage is huge. So we see our industry having huge potential here. Obviously, it's minute compared to the rest of the world, but it has growth potential. And we see it's somewhere that will advance. Whether we can call Barcelona the AV capital of the world, certainly in January, February, it's the AV capital of the world, because everyone's coming here. And everyone who's significant in this industry is here. It's developing to becoming one of the more significant cities for AV in the world.
Here we like a lot this kind of optimistic spirit. So, Miquel, I don't know if you agree with Mike. Do you think that we attract enough audiovisual talent? How are the institutions doing that? Them and the companies.
No, the first thing I have to say is that in Barcelona, in Catalunya, there are, for me, some of the best audiovisual schools in Europe. And I'm talking about content, I'm talking about this technical side. So, in fact, we are exporting talent to other markets. And many of the students, when they finish their studies here, they go to London, they go to Los Angeles and other important audiovisual cities. And that's happening. So we are really exporting. But this has to be compatible with attracting talent to our city, because we really believe in the importance of mixing up different origins and different cultures. I'm talking about how we produce audiovisual, how we work. So for us, it is very important, no, to also attract talent here. And by talent, I mean students for our schools. I mean people that we, the Spanish or the Catalan companies, have to hire, no, in order to be better, no, to get new knowledge, to provide a different perspective, a different view, no, the way they address, no, the different audiovisual processes. So it's important, no, to have such a mix. And I think the administration is doing well, but I think there are some things that maybe could be implemented in order to improve, no? One of the organizers of this event is Barcelona Global. No? They are doing a great job, no, in order to say to the administration, no, what it is important to have here in order to attract this talent. No? And we are talking about tax incentives. We are talking about making it easy for them, no, to settle down in Barcelona and in Catalonia. And I always like to refer to an example, which is Quebec, the Quebec region. No? The Quebec government is currently paying, no, up to 30% of the salary of the AV employees, no, in which live for those that live in the Quebec region. And this proves to be very useful because companies like Ubisoft or Mon Factory or Cirque du Soleil, are able this way, to have the best talent with them, So I don't mean we have to implement this policy, which is very expensive, but I'm sure that we can find ways, to attract more talent in order to be better than we are.
So I'm very sorry, but we have to finish our conversation with the last question to Mike. Mike, give us future goals, realistic, to achieve in the coming years for the ISC and for Barcelona in the AV sector.
I mean, the first thing I can say is that we are celebrating next year our 20th anniversary, 20 years of ISC, and the show has grown and grown and grown in that time. We have a growth chart that looks like this. Yeah. We look more not just on the growth of the show, but we see the future growth still continuing. We're seeing something like 15% average growth in terms of number of exhibitors, floor space, and attendees coming through. So we're looking at a much, much bigger show that contributes to this city. The other points will be, we hope to see more companies settling in Barcelona, setting up their operations here, or distribution or representative offices. There's obviously a very good incentive for that. Where we tend to be, if I can say, when we started ISC, it was a reflection of what the AV industry is. It's where companies came to come and meet their customers. Then it changed, that companies started to change their R&D cycle to launch new products. So it became the place where you came to see what was going to be happening in the industry. So we started to become more of a magnifying glass of what's coming in the future. Our ultimate goal is to be a place where the industry comes together to decide what will happen in the future. Not showing what's going to happen, but decide how the future is going to be formed. And that development is already starting in the types of people who are coming. We've launched a conference for next year, which is the EU Latin American AV Summit, where we're getting representatives from governments in Latin America to meet with people, industry, government, administrations here to exchange information. The EU, President van der Leyen for the European Union Council announced a 40 billion euro fund to promote and invest from Europe into Latin America. And so we're going to be showing companies in our industry where they can interact with that, how they can become part of that as well. So it's a first-time event. It will actually help us towards growing to be that top of the pyramid where we start to influence how the industry will look in the future. And obviously, with the support we get from the local city government, from the Catalonia government, but also from the Spanish government in actually showing that, now we even have the European Parliament involved in this as well, to actually channel what this event does and how it reflects on the city.
Finish the conversation speaking about the future is a great thing. So please applause for our guests.
Thank you.